Hello again. This is Cole and Tim, my husband, joined me again. The last time we came on and did a video was after 1 week of my prescribed use of CBD, medical cannabis oil. And I have now gone through 1 month's supply of it, and I'm starting the second month's worth of use for chronic pain. CBD oil here is legal in Grand Cayman Islands, where we are expats, and we are coming up on
6 years.
6 years of life in Grand Cayman. We're both from Michigan originally. So I just had my follow-up appointment with my new pain doctor here, and I shared with her the effects of 1 month's use. And the most notable effect for me this past month was my quality of sleep. I didn't take my CBD oil a couple nights ago because I laid down and then I just didn't get myself back up to take it. And the next day I felt a notable difference, and I felt like I was dragging myself again to get through the day. And that just goes to show that my quality of sleep when I take the oil is significantly better. So that's a great improvement for one's mental health. In addition to the sleep, I've also experienced going through bouts of rain and barometric pressure changes here. And I've also had a menstrual cycle, which those are usually two factors that exacerbate and make my pain worse. So that was also good to see. I had a comment on one of my videos that I did on CBD oil day 4 by Mr. Smartballs, very courageous Mr. Smartballs. And he or she made a point that a couple things. Said that one, I look like a lazy stay-at-home mom trying to sell cannabis oil. I wish I was making money from doing this. And two, that I was taking watered down trash because in Colorado, the amount of medical cannabis is much larger than what I am being prescribed. I spoke with a Cannimed representative, and they said, one, that was rude, and two, they stated that the amount within my CBD oil is actually shown to be sufficient for most individuals that are dealing with issues that allow them to take this cannabis oil. And I've also heard personally through my different social media outlets how it's helped people who have had cancer, who have had fibromyalgia, who have arthritis, and other issues that lead to chronic pain. So they're using the same exact quote unquote watered down trash that I'm using, and they're also seeing similar positive effects from it. So Cannimed said that they could make CBD oil with the amount of cannabis that this individual spoke of, but it would be so expensive to produce, and it would not be affordable to people in Canada where Cannimed is produced. So if people can't afford it, then what difference does it make? Yeah. You know, like Tim and I have gone through hell and back. My accident happened 2 weeks after we were married, and our potential income, what we had anticipated when we got married, is significantly higher than what we are bringing in right now. And we've experienced near homelessness in paradise while I was pregnant with my son. Tim, tell people about when we went to Kirk that day.
A way to put food back. It was like playing Russian roulette with our credit card. And basically, just put X amount of things back and then try to rerun the card. And if it was approved, great. And we should have keep putting stuff back until we were able to, till the credit card transaction was approved.
Yeah, and so it is embarrassing. And at that time, Tim was working on his master's degree. I have a degree as a doctor, but near homelessness does not discriminate. No, you can be highly educated, and then life comes around and knocks you down. And if you laugh at people's circumstances, you never know, because it could be you, and it sucks. It's not a good feeling to go through. I definitely would not have chosen this path. I'm very grateful for all of the blessings that we've been afforded. I love this island. We've got 2 gorgeous kids. We have so much to be thankful for, but we also have went through some really hard times and tough adversity that we wouldn't wish upon anybody. And not everybody has cared what we've gone through. Not everybody has been empathetic or kind or loving towards us, but that's really not our problem.
Doesn't matter.
No, we're putting a foot in front of the other, and we're staying faithful, and we're trusting God to continue to provide for us. And if other people don't understand them, we're just going to keep moving forward without them, because we don't need the added stress. So the other comment about being a stay-at-home mom and being lazy, that was so laughable to me, because for one, I became a doctor. You don't become a doctor if you're lazy. People have no understanding. I worked 80 hours a week before my accident. I pulled all-nighters. I've worked since I was 16 years old. That is probably the last attribute that I would ever attach to myself as lazy. And a stay-at-home mom, that is a non-stop 365 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's nonstop. And I am so grateful that I've had this time with my children, but this is not what I had anticipated. I should be working in clinical medicine right now, but apparently life had a different plan for me. So hopefully by doing these videos, I continue to use my education to help educate other people. In addition to near homelessness and having to put food back at the grocery store when I was towards the end of my pregnancy with our son, we also have to prioritize. Some people don't understand or have given us a hard time about choosing not to drink alcohol. And both of us, we were not saints before my accident. We both have had plenty of excessive drinking of alcohol. And for us, we have a couple reasons why we've chosen to cut it out of our life. For one, we've both experienced concussions, and it's a neurotoxin. Tim, how many concussions have you had?
I think about 7. One from a pillow fight.
Caitlin is kicking Tim right now.
One from a pillow fight. 2 from baseball. 2 from baseball. Maybe 3 from baseball. A couple from hockey, and then 1 from a car accident.
So, in addition to him having a history of concussions,
and a narcoleptic.
He has narcolepsy, and he has ADHD. So, you really, in terms of caring for oneself, adding a neurotoxin when you have conditions that could then be worsened by alcohol, it doesn't really make much sense in terms of taking care of oneself well. And alcohol consumption has proven in the past to be not a good combination for our marriage. It led to behavior that wasn't appropriate or healthy. And I am a committed person, and I want my marriage to succeed. I want it to succeed for us, and I want it to succeed for our children, and so we can build a nice legacy for them. So we have to focus on what makes the most sense and what is most important to us, and not care what other people think. And then finally, it comes down to money. We've had to put food back at the grocery store. How much does a case of beer cost here? Like just a 6-pack.
Like $8, $9, $10.
And when it comes down to putting food on the table for your kids, or buying a bottle of booze or a case of beer, I mean, that's just common sense. It's foolish. It's irresponsible for us to choose alcohol, which causes problems in our marriage, which would set a poor example for our children. And it costs money that we don't have. We don't have it. We need to buy food. We need to make sure that there's a roof over our heads on this island. And cost of living here is insanely expensive. So we've had to learn how to be mature adults. Well, we're working on that more and more every day. And Like, we've had to learn to budget money and to not be wasteful and to be resourceful and not spend on stuff that's not 100% necessary. So
I think to add to that, I think, if that's something that one decides to do, we don't judge those particular people. I mean,
which is
whatever your choices are. I mean, those are your choices, and we respect your choices.
Which is so funny, though, that we are respectful to other people's choices, yet it feels that there's more judgment towards a couple who chooses not to drink. It really shouldn't be either way, because everybody's given free will choices, and we respect yours. And if you don't respect ours, then we will just continue moving on with our life and doing what's best for us and our family, because that's what's important to us. I also, another update is I heard back, I've shared how I am in an appeals process with my long-term disability company. And I shared on, can you please stop kicking? And I shared on a prior video everything that I've contended with the company that provided long-term disability benefits, and just how terrible really a situation that has been in terms of added stress and harassment and being followed, and having an investigator say that he looked through my windows and making me feel incredibly vulnerable as a woman, and especially a woman with chronic pain. And my attorney, who's representing me, shared that he had gotten through all 2,600 plus pages of my medical journey since my accident. 2,600 plus pages. That should give a little bit of an indication of how much I've gone through in the last 7.5 years. It's not been easy. And I continue to speak, as I shared on one of my posts on Facebook the other day, because for one, I believe in doing what is morally right. For two, I have the education of a doctor, which is a privilege and a resource that most patients don't have. So I keep speaking and I keep fighting for them. And in addition to that, I have an attorney representing me, and not everybody has access to somebody who can help fight this nonsense. And so I continue to speak for those people, those patients that do not have somebody representing them. And the fight's not easy. And I want to move on with my life. And I'm tired of living this accident. I'm tired of having to revisit it. I'm tired of going through all of the unnecessary stuff that this long-term disability company has put me through. But sometimes you have to keep fighting. And I am going to trust that God is going to work through the details of that for me. Isn't that funny, Caitlin? So that's two big things with that. So there's paperwork that has to be filled out for this long-term disability company, which requires me to go through hoops as a patient. And not all doctors want to have to go through these hoops with you. Can you please stop kicking? And so that is very stressful as a patient, because so much of it is outside of the patient's control. So if you have an attorney that's working as your advocate and you have doctors that don't want to be bothered, it's just an added difficulty that a patient experiences. And it's so hard to see the realities of this as both a doctor and a patient, and as somebody who does the right thing. And I understand that patients, their doctors want to get paid, and I understand that, doctors are busy, but at the end of the day, if you care about your patients, it's hard to see when people's true motivations come out. And it's sad to me when I see doctors who make it even more difficult on patients to get forms filled out. That's frustrating. And then another thing that I saw as a patient, when my doctor, Dr. Nichols, wrote for this script, Tim went to the pharmacy to pick it up. And so my pain it could be better controlled with the cannabis oil. So there were a couple different options. She could either increase the amount per dose. So instead of taking 1 milliliter per dose, she could have went up to 1.5. But the amount of oil, to put that much oil under your tongue, is pretty gross. So she said instead of increasing the quantity, I could do 3 times a day. So instead of doing it 2 times a day, move it up to 3 times a day. So I thought that was a good choice. The other option was going to the other type of Cannimed that has more THC in it to see if that had a better effect on pain. So my concern with increasing the THC is I don't want to surpass that therapeutic window and then experience a high. I've grown to love the life of sobriety where my mind is clear, and I want it to be more clear. I don't want to get a high. So for me, and having a good doctor-patient relationship with my pain specialist, we work together on that. And so we're trying this 3 times a day, doing the microdosing and seeing if that assists. And then if that doesn't help, we'll talk about trying the other mixture that has more THC in it. So Tim, she wrote 3 times per day as needed. So that would equate to
90 milliliters.
90 milliliters. So Tim went and he had my prescription filled, and he can share about what they said to Tim when he went to pick it up.
So I went to pick it up, and the pharmacist or pharmacy tech, I'm not sure what he was, but he's like, yeah, 60 milliliters. I said, well, she's supposed to get 90. She's supposed to take, 3 mils 3 times a day. And he said, well, the doctor put on the prescription as needed. And I said, and he said, we don't have to fill it to the maximum amount because the doctor put PNR on it. And I said, PRN, excuse me. And I said, well, but she's supposed to take 30 mil or 3 milliliters a day. He said, yes, but she wrote the prescription as needed. So therefore, we don't have to fill it to the fullest extent. We don't have to fill the prescription.
So that makes no sense because my last prescription said BID, which in medical terminology means twice a day, PRN, and filled at a different pharmacy. There wasn't this power struggle of, oh, I don't have to fill it because it says as needed. So what would make sense, even with it saying as needed, if you need it 3 times a day as prescribed by your physician, then you should have the maximum amount of medicine so your patient doesn't then have to contact the doctor who's already busy. They don't have to go back to the pharmacy when they're already dealing with other life issues, which is why they're prescribed this medicine to begin with. It's just an added stress for patients. It makes no sense. I think it comes down to wanting to control the medicine. It makes no sense.
Well, too, I think because we got it filled, they just got it at the pharmacy at the hospital here because
it's covered by our insurance.
Being a government employee, that's one of the perks of working for the government here on the island is that you get 100% benefits. But they didn't have it at the pharmacy. Well, the first month, Nicole was taking the prescription, so we had to buy it and we had to pay out of pocket, and we get reimbursed via our insurance.
It's not cheap. It's over $160.
But I think one of the issues is that since we did pay out of pocket, I mean, I don't really know how the insurance works through the government hospital, but and one thing he did say, he said, if she needs any additional medicine, the 30 milliliters that she was not given, then she has to see the doctor, and the doctor has to write her another prescription. But again, that takes more time away from us, and it's just
an unnecessary
step for all 3 parties.
It makes
for the doctor,
no
for
sense.
the patient, and for the pharmacy.
Yeah, that makes no sense. So then the couple other things that were talked about in terms of pain management can you please go check on them really quick? So a couple other things that were mentioned for his foot fell asleep and the kids are fighting. This is life live. So A couple other things that were mentioned at my last appointment were the possibility of doing EMDR. And I've experienced post-traumatic stress disorder since my accident. And with trauma, EMDR has been, it's rapid eye movement desensitization. And that's been shown to be effective for helping patients with that trauma, and it's had secondary effects in terms of helping with pain. And unfortunately, there's nowhere here in Grand Cayman Islands, that offers EMDR, so I'm still searching for somewhere in the States where I could be sent to for that treatment. So if anybody has any amazing providers of EMDR that can help me out, please let me know in the comment section. That would be so appreciated. And let's see what else. Oh, and the other thing that I'm dealing with, I've shared in the past the different regions of pain that I experience, and I deal with hand pain. And now I also have, I don't know if you can see, I have this hand eczema, and that started before I started taking the CBD oil. So I know it's not secondary to that. If anything, it should help heal that, but it hasn't. And it's been not responding to any sort of treatment that I do to it. So I'm going to have to see a dermatologist for that. And the other thing that I'd be interested in doing in terms of pain management is maybe doing a blood test for certain things that could be inflammatory in nature. I know that when I was pregnant and breastfeeding my little ones, when they were younger, they were intolerant to dairy. And so I had cut that out for years. And I've re-added that. So this may be secondary to adding dairy back into my nutritional intake. So I could just wean myself off of it and see if that goes away, and then that would give me the answer. So that's something to consider too. So I think that I have pretty much summed up everything that I've experienced in the last month. Out of the 2,600 pages of notes that my attorney read through, he ended up creating a statement for me that I have to submit. And I've had to speak with 2 of my doctors in regards to their statements, and I may have to go see one more doctor in hopes that she'll provide a statement also. But again, there's hoops to jump through. And like I said in another one of my posts, it's been frustrating, it's been disappointing, and at times it's been infuriating as a patient and as a doctor to see and gain this insight. And I trust that this insight will prove valuable at a certain point. But going through the journey, it's been tough. I've seen the good and the bad in doctors. I have been incredibly disheartened seeing some of the things that I've seen. And then at the same time, a couple physicians have really restored my faith in medicine and reminded me why I chose to go into medicine to begin with too. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out, and I'll continue to come on and share updates as I feel led to do, in hopes that it'll help other people and help to educate others too. So thank you for tuning in. I hope that this served you well in some way. If it did, please like and share it. If you have any questions that you'd like me or my husband to answer on another video, then we'd be willing to do that. And I hope you have a great day. And my husband's with our kids, and I'm going to go join them and make the most of this second chance at life. So have a great one, and talk again soon. Bye. All right.